Oh. Hey, Sunil. Can you hear me, Sunil? Hi, Erico. Sunil, can you hear me?
Hi, John.
Hey, how you doing, Erico?
Great, great. How are you?
Welcome. Very good. Very good. Sunil, are you there?
Yeah, I'm sir. How are you?
Yes, Sunil. Yeah, I appreciate the feedback, but I want to go over that with you, later, sometime, okay? And you can
Yeah.
show me, and you can show what you mean, all right?
Okay.
Okay. Very good. Okay, just got to get ready here. I'll be back. Hello, I need some help.
You done?
Yeah, you see the link I put in the taskbar there?
Yeah?
I put in the
I
chat
can see.
box. Is that the correct link to come in? Is that how, can you leave and come back on that link? Because
Okay, okay.
Vlad is having a hard time coming in, and
Okay.
that's the link he has. I want to make sure it's working okay. So just copy that link, leave, and try to come back through that link. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hello, John.
Yes,
It's correct.
it's correct.
Correct.
Oh, good.
Okay.
So you got right back in, right? Okay. Wow. Okay, let me get the link. Okay. Let me get the link from. Oh, Oh, okay, okay. Oh, you're in. Okay, okay. Uh, okay, Vlad. You get in, Vlad.
John?
Hey, Vlad, how you doing?
Hey, good. It was
You're trying to scare me, right?
no, you tried to scare me.
Yeah, you said, oh, I can't get in.
Yeah, finally.
I don't know what was wrong.
Yeah.
Computers are funny sometimes. You don't know what
Yeah.
they're doing. And that's why I say just reboot most
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
time.
yeah, I
Most
did.
of the time.
I
Oh, you
did.
did? That seems to solve most problems.
Do you see me or not?
Let's see. No, not. Let's see here. Hold on. No, your camera's not on. Looks like.
Yeah.
Let
So
me see
should
here.
I open the lecture?
No, you don't have to. You can wait. I'll introduce you so people can see your full face, and then you go
No,
screen
but
share.
how do they see me if I do not have the option to open it?
Oh no, do you know how to screen share, right?
I do. No, you didn't send it to me. You should send me screen share, don't you?
No, you can screen share from your screen. There, you can screen share.
Where?
At the bottom of the screen is a share screen. Okay, let's go
There is
through that.
start video, mute. I don't have the share option.
Yeah, there should be a share screen.
No.
You have
More?
you have a lot. Have we done this before or no?
We did.
Okay. Yeah, at the very bottom, you have what, an Apple or you have a Windows or what do you have? Oh, there you
Now I'm
go.
there.
Okay, your camera's on. Now at the share screen.
I
at
don't have
the bottom.
Apple. It's a normal. It's Windows.
Okay, there should be a share screen.
More chat, record this computer, participants. No, I don't have this share screen. But we had it last time.
Yeah. Your computer's funny.
Yeah, it is. But it's not really.
I think it's Kafka's computer.
Yeah. Same speakers and microphones. Which
Yeah, it has participant, Q&A, polls, chat, share screen.
No.
Well, I hate to, and under more, do you see under more?
Under more, I have participants, chat, record on this computer, and Q&A.
Wow, you should have share screen. Well,
No, I don't.
You may have to download the latest version of Zoom. Okay, let me. I'm going to give you a link. Okay, I need you to go do that. Hold on, let me. Okay, you see, I put it in the chat box. You see it in the chat, Zoom. Oh, I'll also put it in. I'll put it in your WhatsApp too. Okay.
Okay.
I'll put the link in. Okay, and go leave, download it.
Not leaving. I'm not leaving.
Well, you have to download this app, and you might have to, leave and reboot. Okay.
Again?
Yes, we've got to do it. We've got to do it. Let's do it.
Okay.
Go ahead. Go do it.
Zoom must download. Okay.
You got to download that. Okay.
I will.
Okay.
Zoom US.
You're downloading it?
I did. I hope
Okay.
it is there, but if nothing from download and run Zoom. Nothing more. Participants
No, you gotta reboot. You gotta reboot.
I
Those
do.
changes, those
Okay,
changes
so
will,
I will close it.
yeah, go, reboot,
Close.
reboot, reboot. And the changes will take effect.
Yep.
Reboot. Okay, Vlad is back. Okay, now,
I'm back.
okay, now look at the bot. Is there a share screen in the
No,
menu?
it's not there. It's
What?
not.
Okay, I tell you what, Vlad, can you send me by WhatsApp your PowerPoint?
No, I don't. It's impossible. It's too big.
Oh, it's too big. Well, here we go again.
I can open it in my computer. Can you get it?
What do you mean?
If I will open now on my computer the presentation.
Yeah, good. Well, you have to share the screen though. That's why that
But
share
if it
screen.
doesn't allow me,
It doesn't say share screen. I don't
no.
know what,
I have mute, unmute, stop video. In more, I have everything, but not the share screen.
Oh my God, I don't know what to say because I've never seen this before. Huh. No share screen.
No share screen.
Well, the only way to do it is to somehow get me the file.
That will not go. Same assistant, select speakers, test speakers, switch. These are audio settings. Everything but not the share screen. But I had it. Last time I had the
Yeah, I
session.
know. That's why it's so
Remember
strange.
that?
It's yeah, I can't figure it out other than rebooting and uploading a new the latest Zoom. You rebooted. Wow. And the only other option I can see is somehow get me the files. But you say that your computer's slow.
No, this is
and
what
you-
we did last time, and we never succeeded getting you the file.
Yeah. Well,
Well, let me open it again.
okay.
Let me try.
The only thing I think of is just reboot again. Hopefully the changes will take effect.
Okay, I will reboot it.
Try it again. Try to reboot again.
Okay.
That's the only way I see.
Okay, let me close everything which I have here.
Yeah, maybe the panelists have some input on
Yeah,
what,
they are. I'm sorry for them.
that's all right.
Well,
We'll come to a
let me leave
solution.
the meeting and come back in a minute.
Okay, okay, do that. I'm sure everyone can understand the problem we'll have. For some reason, Vlad does not have the share option on his Zoom.
Oh, it's okay, sir. We can understand that. We'll be waiting for him.
Yeah, he doesn't have the screen share on his Zoom. I can't figure, I've
I
never
can
never heard that before.
Wait a minute.
What's that?
Maybe like he did not zoom that one, because if you make a small screen, you cannot see the bottom share screen. But if you like make a big one, then there is a screen share. Like
Okay, well, oh, really? You
yeah,
change the screen
I
size?
just say,
Okay,
you see,
okay, we're gonna suggest that when he comes back, okay?
I can see like there is no
I
share
know what
screen.
you're saying. I know what you're saying. So maybe that's it. Because I can't figure out why he can't see this share screen. So he's gonna reboot and come back, and we'll try various solutions. He's on a low bandwidth, so he's got huge video files, so he can't send the files to me. We kind of went through this before.
It's okay.
And I apologize to everybody for the delay.
I actually got him. I got him. Why he could not see?
Oh, really?
Really, I cannot see. There is a screen share screen in my this one Zoom. But
Well,
like if I
really,
make,
what, in some of your devices, you cannot see a screen share?
if you make this Zoom screen small, there is a no share screen.
Oh,
But
so
if you make a
just,
Zoom
so
one
just
is large.
play with the screen sizes, right?
Exactly.
Okay, we'll ask Vlad to do that when he comes back.
Yeah.
And just hang on, panelists. Hopefully we'll solve this. Or you get your money back. Double your money back. Okay, Vlad? Is it there now?
John,
Yes.
no share screen again.
Oh, boy. Hey, well, you know, Sunil suggested make your screens bigger and smaller. He says sometimes it doesn't show up unless you make the screen smaller and bigger. Do you know what I
That's what
mean? Like maximize it, maximize your screen. Go ahead, Sunil. Go ahead.
Yeah, can you listen me? Like what I found, like if you make a screen bigger, like the whole screen is the big. In that cases, like we can see there is a share screen. It's a green button in the just below. But if you like make it's a small one, you cannot see the share screen.
Like change the screen sizes.
I'm trying. I'm now
Okay.
having lots of screens here.
Okay.
You are already in another meeting. Do you want to leave and join?
No.
In what other meeting?
No. Whoop, I guess he did. I guess he did go to the other meeting. Sorry, folks. Oh, there you go.
You are using the computer audio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then under more, there's nothing that's screen share.
Nothing helps?
Nothing yet.
No.
You've downloaded the latest version of Zoom, correct?
I did.
Yeah. And you rebooted.
I did.
Still no screen share.
No.
And you cannot get us the files because they're too big.
Hmm.
Any solutions, anybody?
Like I want to ask Professor, like, what can you see in the screen actually?
What? Say again.
What can you see in the screen?
What can you see? Like, what is
all
it?
the
What,
not all the participants, 8 of the or 10 participants, John at the top, myself at the top as the second, and that's it.
how about at the bottom? It says Q&A,
In,
polls,
Okay.
chat.
the bottom, I have
Yeah.
mute.
Okay, sir, I got you. I got you. There is a one screen. I mean, like in the there is a one. How to make a large? The screen you can make a large. Can you make the screen
I
large?
did. I
Is
did.
is it like a whole, like the laptop?
Share
is full of-
screen. Share screen.
Okay, there you go. Okay.
Yeah,
Here we go.
Okay, you
Who
got it.
was that smart?
That's Sunil.
Yeah, great.
That was a consultation.
Yeah, he was good. Okay, so let me open the presentation, John.
Okay, let me introduce you first, Spot. Okay, 10, 9,
Okay.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good morning, this is Dr. John Bennett, broadcasting from Miami Beach, home of Neurosurgical TV. We have the pleasure here of having Vlad Benez. Not only is a neurosurgeon, he's a computer technician. You figure out how to share the screen here. And I'll just turn over right away to Vlad. Welcome, Vlad.
Hello.
Okay,
Hello, everyone.
Okay, you can start your presentation if you'd like.
I will.
Okay.
You got it?
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay.
No, you got to pick the screen to share. You click
did.
click the share screen, right?
Yeah, I did.
And another screen opened up. It said pick the screen, and then you got to click share screen.
John, I did. I shared the screen several times already.
Okay. Well, don't worry. You'll get through it. You'll get it. You'll get it. Just play with it a little bit. There you go. There you go.
You have the presentation there?
There you go. Make it bigger. Make it bigger.
I will.
Okay. There you're on the trail. There you go. Make it bigger than that. You know how to do that, right? There, perfect. There you go. Perfect.
Is it there?
Yes, it is. Perfect.
All right, let me start.
Okay.
Gentlemen, sorry for the troubles, but I'm not good with computers. And only with the help of all of you, probably, we managed. I am going to talk about the Cavernoma, about the approaches which we shall choose whenever dealing with Cavernomas, and some questions which I still have and which I don't have answered. So you probably will help me. Cavernoma surgery is about the approach, nothing else. The surgery itself is usually very easy and very straightforward, but the approach is the basics, and you need to choose the proper one. And there is not only one avenue to the lesion. There usually are more approaches, and to recognize that you have decided the wrong one, you can only after the surgery, not earlier. And you always would like to find the shortest via non-eloquent tissue. You may use navigation, you may use endoscopy later in the surgery. Intra-op MR, we use it very willingly because it's seek and find the small lesions. And there are individual indications, especially in deep and brainstem cavernomas. Let's talk about generalities. The risk of surgery must be lower than that of the natural course, obviously. And what we know, or what we feel that we know, is the frequency of bleeding in cavernomas. It is said that in lower cavernomas, it's less than 1% per year. And morbidity mortality of the bleeding is very low. The problem is epilepsy in this. But here we are dealing with very big lesions. Unfortunately, we do not know what is the frequency of bleeding in deep structures, except the stem, and we do not know how frequent or how dangerous is the bleeding, let's say, in eloquent areas. Because we know that the risk of bleeding in brainstem is something like 6 to 36%, very high. And morbidity mortality is high. But this is given by the fact that all the structures are compressed on a very small area, and thus any small bleeding is symptomatic. This is not the case in lobar cavernomas. In spinal cord bleeding, its mortality is high. Again, a loss of function on average is very small. These are the results we are having, so let's check them. That is an introduction to the lecture. In basal ganglia and brain stem, out of 61 patients, we have with morbidity mortality of 10%. Later on, I will show you the cause of this morbidity mortality, but this is pretty high.
Excuse me,
In
Vlad.
spinal-
Excuse me, Vlad. Could you
Yes?
play with your sound a little bit? It's kind of breaking up. So I don't
What
know.
should I do?
You know, turn it on, off. Just play with it a little bit. I really, you know, it's a bandwidth problem, obviously, but maybe if you
Mute
just
my story,
adjust it, turn it down, turn it up. Go ahead.
Okay,
Try
I
it
will
again.
be slower.
Okay. Okay.
And in all the lobar cavernomas, we only had morbidity mortality 1.2%, which were 3 new non-disabling deficits. All the patients are doing well without any troubles, and all are living their normal life. They are employed, they are in retired. So let's talk about the approaches. When I show this case, usually I ask the participants which approach they would choose. Let's see the functional MR. The lesion itself is virtually enveloped by the functions. Here is the tactography, and again, you see that it's nearly enveloped by leg and by hand, which is violet. So you see that this lesion is really in a high eloquent area. So again, which approach would be good? You check all the 3 slices and you just decide which is better, which is a good one. And again, in this case, there is not only one approach to the lesion. You can go from the front. You can go via this sulcus. You can choose whatever. In my case, this was this piece or this part of CSF which led me to use the contralateral approach directly to the lesion. This is the intra-op MR, and you see the lesion, how it was approached from the contralateral side. And since the patient was doing well, it was probably the proper choice. Not always is this true. What about this one? Again, this is in very deep structures, and everything went well. We are T2. At the end, when we were removing the spatulas, suddenly the MEPs dropped down and the girl woke up with the severe lesion. And this is the end of it. Probably one of the perforators got kinked like a garden hose. If you kink it, there is no flow. So that was the only reason for her bad condition which we could come up with. But later on, she improved perfectly, and she only has very slight ankle problems, nothing else. She's doing very well. And you see the minor infarction, which was the reason of her clinical condition. Another. The Sylvian fissure would be like a natural corridor to this lesion, but it would be pretty far. So any other through the temporal lobe, and in this case, we've decided to go via T3 from the bottom up to the lesion, and probably again, since the patient was asymptomatic after the surgery, it was a proper choice. Another one, intraventricular. What do you need? In this case, you need this line along the brain tissue. Here the lesion is free. You need this line, and if you prolong it, you get back to the trigone and via parietal lobe directly to the ventricle and along the long line where the cavernoma adhered to the brain tissue. Another case like that, virtually the same reasoning. You see where the cavernoma is adhered. If you prolong it, you have transcortical, transventricular approach, and this is after the surgery. Again, the proper choice, probably. Another case, newborn with this huge cavernoma within the third ventricle. Here the decision is pretty easy. Via the corpus callosum, this is after the surgery, you see the callosal cut. Unfortunately, the patient came back with a very early relapse of the disease, very early regrowth of some remnant, which we probably in the emergency setting left behind. So we came in via the same approach. We resected the rest, and now the patient is doing rather well. This is 5 years ago, and despite the rather ugly appearance of the MR, the boy is doing very well, and the development is pretty normal. Another in the brainstem. Now we are in the brainstem, and really deep-seated cavernomas that we can divide them into 3 distinct groups. This is mesencephalon, then pons, and then medulla. So let's go from higher up, from mesencephalon. Here the approach is pretty logical and pretty obvious. We shall go via supra-infra. Here is the developmental venous anomaly, and I believe that in brainstem, all of them do have this venous anomaly, and in all cases, this anomaly must be preserved. That's probably the most important part of the surgery in brainstem cavernomas. And here we are in the cavernoma, and you see that the anomaly is preserved. The patient after the surgery is doing well, and this is the MR after. Another one, which is rather deeper, again, all 3 planes on MR. In these 2, anywhere it would be quite far to get to the cavernoma, but not in this one. See, here it's very thin, and we are in between the pyramidal tract, which is over here, and the oculomotor nuclei, which are over here. So this is pretty good place where to enter the brainstem. And the closest part was suboccipital. So this is suboccipital. Here is the tentorium. Here is the occipital lobe. And here is the cavernoma, which is being resected. And as I said, the approach is difficult. To resect the cavernoma is nothing really that difficult. And here is the MR after. You see where we were without any deficit, without any problem for the patient. These cases are for supra-infra approach. Anything which is in a quadrigeminal plate is easily approached via supra-infra. A case of the fourth ventricle cavernoma, obvious probably would be to go teloveral, but I saw that this is pretty high for teloveral approach. So what we did, again, supra-infra. Here's the mesencephalon, here is the cerebellum, and just paravermian, we made a little cut, little incision, which allowed us to enter the fourth ventricle from above. Let's go to the next one. And this is already after the resection of cavernoma. Again, 3 major veins in this tiny spot, all of them preserved. The patient is doing well. The cavernoma is resected. And let me show you what it looked like on MR. So this is the only trans tissue approach. Very short, very insignificant, and obviously you do not harm the patient by this. Another case, there were 2 cavernomas, this one, so we wanted to resect them both. So here we went through the fourth ventricle. To resect this one was pretty easy, but then we were unable to find the other cavernoma in the cerebellum. So we just put in the wax cylinders as markers. We went for intra-op MR, which is in these cases where you cannot find the small lesion, a really perfect tool. And this is after the surgery, both cavernomas are out. The patient is doing well. These are pontine cavernomas, and what you need to check is the tentorium. Here you see that here is the tentorium directly against the cavernoma, and the same here. You easily get here via infratentorial approach, and you are directly on the cavernoma. The only trouble sometimes is the lowermost part of the lesion, be it tumor, be it cavernoma, be it whatever. So this part is difficult. Not this, you are directly there. You do not need to move anything. You do not need to resect anything. This is perfect. And this is the day after the patient's doing well. Another one in the quadrigeminal plate, we are higher up again. This is not really that sorted out. I'm sorry for that. And here again, there are more approaches. You can go supra, infra, you can go subtemporal, you can go suboccipital. In this case, we decided to go suboccipital. Cavernoma is being resected. Again, the easy part of surgery, resection of cavernoma. There is nothing to it. To find the cavernoma is difficult, and to approach the cavernoma. This is after the surgery. Another case of pontine cavernoma. And again, what you need to move is this part of the cerebellum, nothing more. Coming from above, again, without anything, you just move this part of the cerebellum. You are directly on the cavernoma. And again, only this part at the bottom is somewhat difficult. This is immediately after surgery. You see that the cavernoma is resected and done. Now we are again higher in the thalamus, and you need to approach the cavernoma with as less tissue as possible. So this is the spot you need to hit. This is the part you need to come. And this is the quadrigeminal system. So again, it would be the supra-infra approach. But since this is higher than the tentorium, you need to cut a piece of tentorium. What I do always is like a V-shaped incision in the tentorium with the bottom at the tentorial edge. And this is the surgery. Sorry, let's go back. Yeah, this is the approach. Here is the transverse sinus. Here is the sinus junction, the sigmoid and the transverse. You open the dura very, very high. You do not open it too low, otherwise the cerebellum will prolapse. So you see that it's a rather tiny dura opening. Then the gravity will help you. And this is cutting the tentorium, which allows us to get to the vein of Rosenthal and to some posterior cerebral artery branches. And you already see the yellowish tissue on the surface of the thalamus. And now the easy part comes in to resect the cavernoma. The usual way, you just try to grab it and somehow gently remove it from the brain. There are a few perforators, so one should take care about them, and these are really important, so you do not want to damage anything which is not necessary. And this is completely extracerebral approach to thalamus, to posterior thalamus, which is the beauty of this approach. You see that the cerebellum, there are no retractors, you do not need them. The cerebellum just gets away. And this is the approach. These are the vessels which were there at the beginning, and this is the cavity which is overlooked by the endoscope, just to make sure that no cavernoma is there. The criticism which I always heard is that you operate with your hands elevated. That's not true. You see it on the screen that this is the supra-infra approach, and I have my hands perfectly horizontal, very easy, very comfortable. You do not need to do any acrobatics. It's a very straightforward surgery, even if you go as high up as thalamus through the tentorium. This is the MR after the surgery. The patient had some hemihypesthesia for several months, but now she's perfectly well without any deficit. Another case, exactly the same like this. You need to get to this spot where there is the posterior cerebral artery between the brainstem and the temporal lobe. And you get to this cavernoma virtually without any transgressing of the brain tissue. This is the extracerebral approach as far as the cavernoma is located. And this is after, and if you see where we were, very deep in the thalamus still, without any harm to the thalamus. When we get lower in the pons, there are cavernomas which are not resectable by some supra-infra. To these, one must really go via the regular retrosic approach. You see it here, we are above the nerves, above the 7th, 8th, and above the 6th. And here is the brainstem. Again, very gentle retraction. And this is the cavernoma. This is the pons, the anterior face of the pons. No difficult approaches like those petrosectomies or something like that. The easiest approach is the most routine one, and retrosec definitely is a routine approach for everyone. So I'm using only these regular approaches. I don't like these funny things. And you see, this is the 6th, this is the 7th, 8th, this is the ICA, and this is the basilar artery, and this is the bed of the cavernoma. Very easy to get there, very straightforward, and very straightforward surgery in a way. Let's get forward. Oops, let's get back. This is after the surgery. It's always somewhat difficult to evaluate the EMRs after the surgery of cavernoma because some hemosiderin remains behind, and it always shows you something on your MR. So only the consequent MRs are usable. This is sometimes difficult whether there is some remnant or not. This is the 8th nerve, cavernoma. The boy of 18 came with sudden headache and hearing decrease, and here is the cavernoma. Take a look, here is the 8th nerve, here is the cavernoma, here is the bed of the cavernoma, and this is the MR after. Sorry. So this was pretty straightforward surgery, again via the regular retrosec approach. And actually, in my mind, 7th, 8th, and the region like acoustic schwannomas is the only target for retrosec approach. Anything which is above the 7, 8 is far easier accessible for me via supra-infra, and anything which is below is far easier, again, for me, it's my personal preference, via far lateral or enough lateral approach. This is something about the development of cavernomas. We are in a year 2013. You see the developmental anomaly. The MR was done for some headaches. And of course, this is nothing for surgery. The guy did well. And then he came with this bleeding in 2018. We've resected that. We didn't find a cavernoma there, and we inspected the whole cavity of the bleeding. You see what I said, that there is always some hemosiderin, and it's sometimes difficult to evaluate. And this was this year. He came in a few weeks ago with this cavernoma, and that was one with lots of developmental anomalies. You see the 7th, 8th. Here is the one development, the one vein, another vein. If we go further, there is another vein hidden below this. And here is the cavernoma, which we finally resected at this point. This is during the resection. Again, one of the veins, something one must take care of, and one must take care of all the tiny perforators which are here on the surface of the lesion. Then at the end, when we really resected the lesion, we inspect the cavity with the endoscope, and this is the end of surgery. And here, let's see it on video. This is the flocculus, some gentle retraction. I'm not saying that I operate only without retractors. They are a good thing in neurosurgery, and if you feel to use it, do use it. Sometimes you use it only to protect the brain against yourself. Sometimes you need to move a little tissue. In this case, in retrosec, I usually put it there. You see the cavernoma or the scar tissue after the bleeding. One vein, the second vein, the cavernoma hidden below these veins. All of them really must be preserved. And you may imagine the bleeding. This is the lateral surface of the brainstem. This is the 7th, 8th, which you want to preserve. You see how they run underneath the cavernoma. The guy after surgery had a partial 7th nerve palsy, which is now improving well. You see all the perforators which must be separated from the surface of the cavernoma. And now we are done. This is the last adherence. the endoscope comes in, and at the very end, the floss seal into the cavity. But of course, the hemostasis in these regions must be very meticulous and very safe. Well, this is the scheme and topic. Personally, I do not believe into the safe entry zones in the floor of the fourth ventricle. So whenever possible, we try to come from some other way, usually at the level of the cranial nerves from the side. From the floor of the, through the floor of the fourth ventricle, it's really the exception when the cavernoma is abutting the surface, when you see it on the surface. This was one of the last cavernomas we did through the floor some 10, 12 years ago. The very unhappy guy was admitted to our department with this cavernoma, and the night before surgery, he bled again. He was in the morning, Glasgow, 6 with this huge cavernoma, and obviously we approached this cavernoma at the time via the floor of the fourth ventricle, and even with all the monitoring and this with everything, I never am sure that I will preserve the 7 and 6 nuclei. This is after the patient survived, and he's actually now at home with some neurological deficit like quadriparesis, but he's doing rather well, not employed, so, and not fully active. Here is a cavernoma which is really a subject to floor of the fourth ventricle approach between the tonsils. You see it again. Here, I guess I have the video here. Yes, I do. You see, this is the cavernoma. These are the retracted tonsils, and you just slowly check what is in the surroundings of the cavernoma with your stimulation probe. And in this case, fortunately, the 7th, 8th were a little higher up, and at the end, the 7th, 6th, and at the end, when we resected the cavernoma, the bottom of the cavity of the resection, the 7th nerve responded. So we were lucky that we didn't damage the nerve. You see, again, the resection itself is not difficult. The difficult is really the region where from you resect the cavernoma. You see, this is the bottom of the cavity, and now, even with very gentle stimulation, the 7th nerve responded. Okay, these are the cavernomas of the lower brainstem. And again, you look, where is the easiest approach, where to approach the cavernoma? And it's obviously here, just at the bottom, somewhere where the 7th, 9th, and 11th nerves are running. So the approach is far lateral or enough lateral. I don't resect the condyle too much because all the work can be done above and below condyle. You do not need to resect everything, but this is the part which I resect as much flush as possible. This is the pica. You got all the arachnoid bands just to free the tonsil. And this is already the cavity of the cavernoma, which is approach little from below. And this is after surgery. Actually, this patient couldn't have been harmed because he was orthopedic surgeon, so he went out of surgery back again to replace the hips. This is another cavernoma in the same region. Again, you need to approach here, and here it's abutting the ependyma, so it will be really on the surface. This is after there is somewhere the video. Now this will be the video. You see again, here we are at the bottom. Here the cavernoma is on the surface with far lateral approach. You just get there. You see the 9th and 11th. This is 11th. This is 9th, 10th. And here on the surface of the brainstem already is the cavernoma. Here is the 7th, 8th. And here is the video of this case. Again, the approach, this is the crucial part, to have it as flush with the skull base as possible, so that you will not be retracting the tonsil that much. And here is, as soon as we get in, again, after cutting the arachnoid, you see the 9th and 11th. Here's the cavernoma. And there at the top of the approach is the 7th and 11th, which fortunately didn't have anything to do with it. You see, this is the 7th, 8th over here. This is the 9th and 11th. This is some vein here, and here's the cavernoma on the surface of the brainstem. And then as soon as you find the cavernoma like that, the resection itself is very straightforward and very easy. Again, you just find the hematoma. You just remove it by gentle traction like that. You see, that's the hematoma. And you just really very gentle traction. This is nothing which where the force is to be used. And again, after that, endoscopy for cavernoma cavity. I don't think we need to sit till the end. So let's go forward. And this is after the surgery at the last follow-up. We are getting very low into the medulla. This is a young boy of 18 who was asymptomatic, but he was somewhere on the junior ice hockey team. And always after the training, he had a neck pain. So someone sent him to MR, and this is the cavernoma they found. They immediately kicked. Yeah.
Percaya gue
I'm
mau
sorry,
yang
bud.
Korea.
I'm sorry, bud.
John, can you deal with that?
Yeah, I got it. Go ahead,
John?
bud. Go ahead, bud.
Okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, so they kicked him out of the team, and the parents came to me, and they really wanted to have it resected because they wanted the boy to play ice hockey again. So what I did was the far lateral, and you see the cavernoma here on the surface of the cord. But whenever I touched the cord or whatever here, all the MEPs went down. So what I did was that I ran away. There was no way to resect the cavernoma from this approach. And this is the second stage surgery sometime after the first. Let me put the video directly through the midline, through the cord to the cavernoma. I can tell you that I was very much afraid to do that, but still I've been lucky, and the boy ended up very well. This is at the end of surgery. You see that the cavernoma is being free of all the attachments to the cord. The trick is to preserve all these tiny vessels which are in the midline, and then you may get by even with this surgery. And oops. And this is the MR. After surgery, you see that the cord is nearly divided in two, but the boy is asymptomatic, and actually they let him to play ice hockey again after some months. The spinal cord cavernoma, there are two of them, and this lady, she has had a really severe burning pain of one of the legs, I guess on the right side. One of the cavernomas is anteriorly, the other cavernoma is more posterior. So we did them in two stages because the electrophysiology dropped down after this resection. And this is anterior quadrant of the spinal cord. The denticulate ligaments above and below are cut and sutured to the dura over here. And you really can turn the cord towards yourself. Now you see that we are turning the cord back into the normal position. And let's go to the second cavernoma. The second cavernoma was resected via the midline. Surprisingly, there was quite a fresh bleeding, which was asymptomatic because the lady was unchanged for several months with her problems. This is the midline incision into the ependyma. Then you open the cord like a book, and we always suture the ependyma after the surgery. And this is after, again, lots of hemosiderine. There's but the cavernomas in this case are out and the lady is doing well. And surprisingly, the pain subsided completely. Another spinal cord cavernoma before and after, and next one. So the spinal cord is really specific. The only patient who deteriorated after surgery was the one with 2 cavernomas in the craniocervical region, which were resected. From the very beginning, he came to us quadriparetic, so he was unchanged by surgery. He was quadriparetic on the wheelchair, and he was doing rather well for 5 years. Then the slow deterioration appeared, and he came on a wheelchair with unusable motor function at all, in both hands and legs. After the surgery, it was nearly complete lesion, and even the right upper extremity got worse. So it was our only patient with spinal cord cavernoma who got worse. Let's talk about the disease dynamics, which is rather peculiar and rather unpredictable. Here between these 2 cavernomas, there are, I guess, 10 years or 20, I don't know exactly. This is 2015 and this is 2006, so there is 10 years. It's virtually unchanged, and the patient is doing well. No surgery. There are some cavernomas which we follow, and we never indicated any surgery, and the patients are doing well. I actually, over the few months, I have had 44 follow-ups of unoperated cavernomas. They are, of course, accumulated, but there are many which I do not operate and which do not need any surgery. Why resecting the lesion which is benign? On the other hand, let's see this patient. He was our pituitary adenoma case, so we followed him very closely. There is nothing here, nothing here, nothing here. Then in 2014, there appears something in the border of the basal ganglia. And very soon, within a year, there is a nice full-grown cavernoma, which we resected. But again, within another year, there was a huge cavernoma with huge bleeding. And we knew that we resected this one. And ultimately, the patient died. So this was really a malignant course of the cavernoma, which was not here at all in some 5 years before all the deterioration. So this is something strange. Another case which is stable for many years in the brainstem, big one, still the patient is asymptomatic. We didn't operate on him and he's doing well for several years. Another case which we didn't operate and we wouldn't like to operate at all because it's the midline, which is extremely dangerous, but he's doing well without any symptomatology. So this was the question of disease dynamics. What about the multiplicity? I feel that we have 2 types of multiple cavernoma, successive and primarily multiple. So this is a patient where you need only one and you can have him for the whole your career, resecting one cavernoma after another. But let's say this lady or girl, at the beginning, she was 15 years when she came to us with this cavernoma. It was in 1999. We resected this cavernoma, she was doing well. In 2 weeks' time, there was this cavernoma. So we resected the second cavernoma in her, and then we didn't see her for quite a long time, and she was doing well. Then in 2017 and 2 kids later, she came with these 2 cavernomas. We resected them. So this is 15 years between, or 18 years between the lesions. Now she's like that. She's doing well. She's not having any cavernoma on her MRs, but we can expect that in few years she will be back with some other. This is the case of multiple cavernomas. We all see them, so there is nothing specific. This young man has several cavernomas. He's got one episode of bleeding from this cavernoma. So there is no doubt that this one is symptomatic. So we resected this one and left behind all the others, but we, of course, follow this patient after surgery. And question is, how frequently should we have MRs? We usually do it at first at 1 year time and then going for 3 years intervals. What about the epilepsy? There's a problem that we either can go for epilepsy surgery with patient in a cavernoma with all the workup, with monitoring and everything, or we can consider it like a cavernoma surgery, that we resect cavernoma and consequently treat all of the epilepsy. So this is something which I do not have sorted in my mind, whether we should approach them like this or whether we should approach them like this. Here is a young boy with intractable epilepsy. He was sent to us by epileptologists that the focus is in the temporal lobe, which is rather obvious. And we resected subtotally this cavernoma. This is what we left behind because there always the electrophysiologist told us the MEPs are going down. So he's got his cavernoma still in place or part of it, but he's seizure free. So this was probably like an epilepsy surgery and the patient was treated more or less like epilepsy, not like a cavernoma. The last thing which probably we should discuss is the timing of surgeries. I don't like urgent surgeries or emergency surgeries for brainstem cavernomas with bleeding because as always the hematoma cavity is not firm, it bleeds and it's difficult to control the bleeding. So I like to wait for 10-12 days when the hemorrhage cavity walls are firm enough and you do not harm and you have a good plane of dissections, but not too long, like months. If you wait months, the hematoma will get rather firm, and there even may appear calcifications which are really difficult for surgery. We've published our experience, and again, this is what to expect in your practice. This 10% morbidity mortality is pretty high, but if we go to that, it was early in the series. The first case of casualty was 99, the other in 2004. The first patient who died was upper pons, close to the fourth ventricle floor, 2 large veins on the surface of the lesion. And at that time, I was not really that aware of the importance of the veins. So I coagulated them and the patient died of that. The other one was quadriparetic, coming with Glasgow coma 7, and he died 7 days after the surgery, slowly deteriorating. Whatever we did to have him. And the other 4 cases, which make together the 10% morbidity mortality, those were 7th or 6th or both nerve palsy, and those all were the cavernomas which we approach through the floor of the fourth ventricle. So we do not do it anymore unless it's abutting the surface. All right. So what is the cavernoma surgery about? To conclude it somehow, it's about the decision. You must decide whether to operate, which approach to use, which time after the bleeding to use, whether you should operate on unbled cavernoma as an incidental finding. That is always a difficult decision, whether you should treat epilepsy or not. So there are many, many questions before surgery which must be answered. Then you should spend your time deciding about the approach, which is really crucial in surgery. And if you decide properly and rightly, then the surgery will be fun, will be nice, and will be almost risk-free. We now shall publish this book in Springer in 2020. There should be everything about cavernomas, since we've invited the top specialists in the field, and I believe it will be good. So check for that. I guess that's all. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, sir.
Okay,
Lad, good to see you.
Good to see you, Ipe. How are you?
Absolutely fine. I see that it is your office or home.
Home. Home.
Oh, so I've been there. Yeah,
You've been in both.
Yeah, I've been in
Yeah.
both.
We have a holiday today. End of the World War II.
Seriously?
So it's a free day.
Well, anyway, Corona is making every day free for us.
Yeah, that's, you know, we are locked.
Well, we are doing all the surgeries. We are not keeping it locked. Let us see what happens. We don't even know what is the situation.
We have disrupted the chain with Corona. You know, the patients are not coming in. We just asked our people from stroke unit, then stroke unit people from other hospital and from next, so 3 major hospitals. And during the Corona time, there is half the number of strokes as previously, which means that the patients do not come to the hospitals. And that's a trouble. That's a problem. Yeah.
Same for us.
Same.
Don't know.
Yeah. This will be recovering a long time to get all the patients with meningiomas and adenomas and these. We'll be doing cisternostomies.
Yeah, well, there is a lot of sternostomies. They cannot help but come.
Yeah. We do not even have trauma because people are sitting at home.
Well, here, guys are falling from all kinds of places.
Yeah.
And nobody is really following it. So, no, one comment I had to make for your supra-infra approach, Vlad. See, I have put the endoscope with the pneumatic holder for few of these cases. And I find that is one of the best approaches. You know, with your 7-foot stature, your hands almost reaches my other theater. So that is one disadvantage shorter surgeons have. But otherwise, if this was not a disadvantage, I mean, that's because of the stupid microscope design. And if you could have an exoscope, a good 3D exoscope, I can literally sit just close to the patient and do the supra-infra. And I think the thing that we are designing, the exoscope that we are designing, this approach would be one of the most major approaches in the future, because you can get a lot of things. As you've proven, you can get a lot of things around that region, which is really difficult coming in from lateral. So vitrectomy, yes, that's something in the front I can get, but laterally and superiorly, this approach is going to be a game changer, especially with the microscope out of the question. So,
you know, we just got exoscope. So we have it for a week. I did one C1 schwannoma and one achom aneurysm. And I can tell you that I believe that exoscope will replace microscopes very fast.
100%.
Yeah, it's really something extraordinary. I didn't expect, you know, playing with the thing in the exhibitions is one thing, and use it for real surgery another thing. But it's really perfect. It's really perfect. Yeah. About the petrosectomies, you know me. I don't like the approaches which are difficult by itself. I never want to harm the patient by the approach. If I'm harm him, let him be harmed by the meningioma or cavernoma or something like that, but not by the approach.
We had the exoscope also, the 3D exoscope. We had it for some time. We did it. We did some anastomosis training as well, and I did a giant vestibular schwannoma with this exoscope an year back. Stores had given it to us for weeks, and then we did a few things with us. The store's design as such is stupid. Actually, at the moment, the store's design is stupid compared to the design of the microscope. And I believe if we have a good holder, which stores is working on, but the kind of red tape in stores is it's sickening. So we are designing things by ourselves. We're getting a beautiful camera to sit on a robotic arm, and then combine it with many other things.
Yeah, you may. course, you are technical-minded guy, so show us your inventions.
Yeah, so this is what we are trying to. And by the way, our diagram, the carotid diagram, came on the national cover. I mean, the Kazakh journal's national cover.
Ah, good.
The diagram always talk about the carotid diagram. John,
John? Someone's making a noise there.
some questions, I guess.
I got it. Questions from the panelists? Have any comments or questions of Ike or Vlad?
It was too long. They are tired.
Yeah, too quiet.
Excellent. Very good job.
Well, now's your chance. Use it. It's interactive, but only interactive if you use it.
Somebody is asking you, can you just simplify Zambrowski classification? I don't even know what that is.
Have you heard of that, Vlad?
No, I didn't. Ibe speak up.
No, somebody is asking you, can you simplify Zambrowski classification? I've never heard of Zambrowski classification.
Zabramski. I know Zabramski. Joe Zabramski was in Neurosurgery. We were there together for a year, but I'm not aware of his classification.
Neither am I.
Okay. Okay, comments, questions? Daddy, Big Daddy, you're quiet today.
Sir, can I ask a question, sir?
Sure, of course.
Sure.
Sir, thank you for your very, very brilliant, informative, and very big series presentation. Excellent, sir. I have learned a lot from your presentation. I have a question, sir. In case of brainstem cavernoma, if the cavernoma bleed is almost close to the surface, then it will indicate our approach. At the same time, if there is any safe entry zone around that target area, what should we choose? Close to the surface or any safe entry zone area to treat the lesion?
That's individual. That's individual. What's close to the surface? You know, you may have the cavernoma close to the surface, but exactly in this thin part of the remaining brain tissue, some important function may be. So whenever the cavernoma is covered by the brain tissue, especially the floor of the fourth ventricle we are talking about, I guess, then I don't believe it. And whenever there is possibility to come from the side, the best avenues are between the 5th and 7th on the lateral surface, or between 7th, 8th, and 9th and 11th. There you get rather easily, and you may approach cavernoma through these corridors, which are safer, not safe, but safer than the floor itself. So close to the surface, say that the cavernoma in the fourth ventricle is covered by 2 millimeters of tissue, and from the side by 3 millimeters of tissue. What would you choose? Do you understand what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Good.
Sir, somebody says in eloquent area, if we have single time bleeding, we should keep the patient in conservative treatment. If it bleeds again, then we can decide for surgery. What do you think about it?
Yeah. That is really the policy which is like 10, 15 years old, that you wait for second bleeding. I don't like it, and I don't do it. First bleeding, if cavernoma is accessible, is for me, in my mind, indication for surgery, if the cavernoma is accessible. Why would you wait for second bleeding? To harm the patient more? To have more severe deficit caused by the bleeding? It's I don't respect that. I really do not respect that policy of waiting for the second bleeding. I do not see any rationale behind that.
Yes, thank you, sir.
You're
So
welcome.
if we have got a huge hematoma in the brainstem due to rupture cavernoma, should we wait for a few weeks to treat, or we should do it emergency? What do you think?
If the clinical condition allows, then I would always wait. Always wait. If the clinical condition is deteriorating, then I would go ahead with surgery. Very unwillingly, but I would. But if the clinical condition allows, at least 10, 15 days is perfect, because then you have the cavity walls really firm, you perfectly see them, and you have the hematoma soft. So you just push it away from the cavity, you see the walls, and you remove the hematoma very easily.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, I have a question, please.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Professor, for your excellent and wonderful lecture. I'm Dr. Najjar from Syria. Actually, I want to ask you about your approach. Do you use a sitting position for the supra-infra approaches? And when you use a small incision, high incision of the dura, do you make another incision for the cisterna magna to CSF drainage, or you use spinal drainage for that?
Good question. Good question. Sitting position, and we just now checked the supra-infra approach for Ipsilat, of course, and there were 150 cases, and there was one problem with severe air embolism, only one. And this is what we did at the beginning, that we did another incision above the cisterna magna to release the CSF. Not anymore, because the craniotomies are small. We did it when we were using the bilateral supra-infra. Now we use only unilateral, and the approach is not big. The dura is open some 15-20 millimeters below the transverse sinus, and the CSF is drained because it's really necessary. You do not hit the CSF pathways at the beginning, so you do not drain the cerebellum. May be a problem. What we use is very simple lumbar drain, and we drain some 30-40 milliliters of CSF at the beginning of surgery. Lumbar drain is the best invention in neurosurgery in my mind.
Mm-hmm. Did you use any stitch on the tentorium for retraction of the transverse sinus to have more space?
Ah, that's a good. It shows you are doing it. Sometimes we use stitches to the tentorium. You gain 2 or 3 more millimeters of your approach, which may be crucial. That's a good idea to use it.
Thank you. I have final question, if you don't mind. For the medulla oblongata cavernoma, did you use if we don't have any monitoring intraoperation, can we use the midline as a safe entry zone for the cavernoma and the midline for medulla oblongata? You know, we are in the developing country. We don't have any intraoperative MRI or intraoperative NGCT or even monitoring. So we have 2 choices. Either we leave the patient for him to die, or to try with the basics of our equipment.
I understand. In oblongata, I would be worried about the midline approach, but ultimately I would use it. I can tell you that I didn't see oblongata cavernoma They are rare.
Mhm.
The one I have shown in the lecture was actually the only one in this region. They usually are in lower ponds or in the spinal cord, not in the oblongata. I didn't see it there. But then I probably would be tempted to use the midline approach.
Mhm.
But I don't know how it would end up. You know, midline approach in the ponds is ridiculous.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Thank you very much. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Any more comments, questions? Okay, okay, Vlad, any closing comments, questions from anybody?
Well, thank you, Vlad. Thank you for giving the lecture. We are looking forward to many more. And maybe you should have one of those quiz sessions which you do for WFNS anatomy. Anyway, we are going to have a WFNS anatomy meeting very soon. I mean, in a
Yeah.
week.
Okay.
So,
Okay, very good, Vlad. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. And thank you, all the
Yeah.
panelists.
Thank you for inviting me.
Okay,
Thank to you, John, and thank to you, Hype. It was a
Anytime.
pleasure and it was fun for me. Anytime.
okay, thank you, Vlad. Okay,
Thank you.
goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. See you in the WFNS. Thank you.
Yeah.